Living history, World War II stories as told by those who were there.
We want highly motivated volunteers for a mission, and we can't tell you what we're going to do.
Headed for India as part of the 1st Air Commandos. It took Allison and Cochran less than a month to assemble a combat unit with 348 aircraft and 523 men.
We got 30 P-51s. We got, I think, 15 B-25s, and we got 25 or 30 C-47s. We had 100 ambulance planes. We had 100 cargo gliders, and we carried the first helicopters ever in the combat.
By December of '43, the 1st Air Commandos had set up 2 air bases deep in the jungles of India. The fighters and light ambulance planes were at Hailakandi, 10 miles away. The gliders and C-47 tow planes were positioned at Lalagat. Wingate knew his Chindit forces were now protected by American air power.
What he wanted to do is he wanted to leapfrog over the front lines and get about 200 miles to the rear. Then he could start chewing away at the logistics lines.
The gliders were to land on 2 jungle clearings, 200 miles deep into enemy-held territory. And then the men would build 2 airstrips called Broadway and Piccadilly.
Now tonight, your whole reason for being, your whole existence is going to be jammed up into a couple minutes, and it's just going to balance it there. It's going to take your character to bring it through. Now, nothing you've ever done before in your life means a thing. Tonight, you're going to find out you've got a soul. Good luck.
While Wingate led his Chindits through the jungle, pilots O.B. Carter in Little Kitten and Walter Radovich in a B-25 bomber started prowling Burma. And 2 days after Broadway opened, they hit the jackpot at the enemy's jungle air base in Shuibo. 60 Japanese aircraft were caught on the ground.
It was like shooting fish in a barrel. We cleaned up on that base.
We almost ran into each other. It was so exciting.
1944. America is at war. A comic strip known as Terry and the Pirates is in virtually every newspaper in the country. The star of the strip, Flip Corkin. The artist, Milton Caniff.
You probably remember Flip Corkin. Flip was a flyer, a fighter, and a genuine American hero. But while I was doing Flip's adventures for the newspapers, the real Flip Corkin was fighting the real war 8,000 miles away in Burma. Colonel Philip Cochran was Flip Corkin. What Flip was doing in the newspapers, Phil Cochran was doing in Burma.
Milt Caniff went to school with Phil Cochran. They were the same sorority, fraternity house. And that was Ohio University. And Milt Caniff came to Daily News and became quite well known in Mitchell Field, New York. He'd come out with people and do stories with us, and then we'd go back to town and have dinner with Milt Caniff and visit with him. And he said, Phil Cochran says, why don't you take Terry out of the damn junks, Chinese junks, and put him in the Air Corps? So he did that. He did a whole page on the acceptance of Terry and the Pirates getting into the U.S. Army Air Corps. And then he put Phil Cochran in. They had all of the various fellows that people who knew Phil Cochran were eventually there. There was Little John, was Johnny Allison.
And Phil Cochran was Flip Corcoran.
Flip Corcoran.
And you were...
Radovich.
P-51s, also the tactical arm of the 1st Air Commandos. This is all a small part of a group of transport planes, glider planes, helicopters, L-1s and L-5 light aircraft. Everyone played a vital part in this invasion with General Wingate and his Chindits. You notice the striping on the back of the airplane. We wanted the Japanese to know that we were the 1st Air Commandos, and that was the only one that had the striping in the Burma Chinese theater. This is R.T. Smith, a former Flying Tiger and ace in the Air Force. There is Hailakandi, the air control tower and the landing strip.
That's me. Hard to recognize. This is a guy by the name of Gilhausen, and we called him Amichihausen because he hated Don Amichi's movies. But that's Neil Ballum. That man did all of P-38 flying for the movie A Guy Named Joe with Spencer Tracy in it. He was killed shortly after that. That's R.T. Smith again.
Flying Tiger?
Yeah, former Flying Tiger. We had 3 different former Flying Tigers. That's Sonny Pitts. I recruited him to go. He's a West Point graduate. That illustrates the bird baths we had on the strip. That's one reason we didn't get any gun camera film, because on takeoff, muddy water would spray up in front of the lens and block the movie lens, which is in the leading edge of the wing.
That was probably in late April because the monsoons started about that time and come in. That's why we had to get our mission done before the monsoon season started. It caught us before we got finished.
R.T. Smith was actually the commander of the B-25 unit, but he was basically a fighter pilot. Cochrane decided to man the 25s mostly with fighter pilots and only one pilot rather than 2 to the airplane. So Radovich was originally a fighter pilot.
That's Radovich there.
Yeah, that's Walt.
And Walt Radovich.
A lot of you may remember him from here at the museum. He was a docent here.
We interviewed him too. His oral history is upstairs. All your P-51s painted that color?
Yes, they were all painted the same way. The only difference was the stripes across the rudder. The 2 stripes there indicated that was the squadron commander, I think, or could have been one of the group staff. Cochrane had 3 stripes. He was the only one that had that.